Sacramento, ripping into Donald Trump in the final hours of this year's legislative session, California lawmakers passed measures urging Congress to censure the president, bucking his immigration policies and seeking to force him to release his tax returns. They also formally called on Trump to publicly apologize to all Americans for his racist and bigoted behavior. If there was any question about the location of the nerve center of the anti-Trump resistance, it was settled with a defiant fusillade of legislation Friday and Saturday memorializing California's antipathy toward the president. The end of session rush of bills served as a reminder of the limitations of the president's recent diplomacy with Democrats in Washington, and of an unrelenting effort to keep pressure on the president from afar. The issue of resistance is beyond the symbolism, Senate President Pro Tem Kevin DeLeon said after the session officially closed. There's real lives at stake, and I think that a lot of other municipalities, as well as other states, are looking towards California to be the leader of this resistance. Trump's imprint has been heavy in state houses across the country, with Democrats, and some moderate Republicans, bidding to blunt the effects of the administration's policies on issues ranging from health care to climate change and immigration. Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner, a Republican, signed legislation last month prohibiting local authorities from detaining people based solely on their immigration status. Oregon Governor Kate Brown barred state agencies from participating in the creation of any Muslim registry. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo proposed amending his state's hate crime statute to include inciting a riot against protected classes of people. But nowhere has Trump reshaped a state's political landscape as thoroughly as in California, a state the president said in February in many ways is out of control. Trump was trounced in this heavily Democratic state last year, contributing to his loss of the national popular vote. And California's elected officials have spent the first months of his presidency pummeling him. Skeptical of the likelihood of a working relationship with Trump, DeLeon called him an individual who would betray you in negotiations in a heartbeat. Trump's flirtations with congressional Democrats, including with California's Nancy Pelosi on immigration, did nothing to soften Democrats' displays of defiance here. As a Mexican Independence Day celebration picked up on the grounds outside the Capitol building, Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez Fletcher said on the Assembly floor that with the president's decision to rescind DACA and step up ICE raids in our neighborhoods, additional legislation to protect undocumented immigrants is needed more than ever. Drinking a Perrier in his office off the Assembly floor on Friday night, Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon told Politico that while Trump met with Democrats at the White House, he heard no member of his caucus even mention the possibility of improving relations with the president. On top of advancing a sanctuary state bill limiting local law enforcement officials' ability to cooperate with federal immigration authorities and tax return bills, an advisory measure urging Congress to censure Trump for his response to the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, and passing legislation requiring presidential candidates to release tax returns before appearing on the California ballot. Lawmakers also called on other states to withhold voter data from the President's Commission on Election Fraud. And after U.S. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos said she would rescind an Obama-era schools directive on sexual assault, they voted to write that directive into state law. It's almost numbing, Assemblyman Mark Levine said, how often we have been rising to talk about how our values as Americans and as Californians have been challenged recently. The controversial sanctuary state bill was weakened before passage to gain Governor Jerry Brown's support, allowing local agencies to work with immigration authorities on cases involving immigrants convicted of a wide range of crimes. Yet Republicans and some law enforcement officials remained opposed, and the Trump administration responded sharply after the legislative agreement was announced last week. The state of California is attempting to codify a commitment to returning criminal aliens back onto our streets, which undermines public safety, national security, and law enforcement, Devin O'Malley, a Department of Justice spokesman, said in an email. Given the multiple high-profile incidents that have occurred in California in recent years, it is especially disappointing that state leaders would take steps to limit cooperation between local jurisdictions and immigration authorities attempting to keep Californians safe. The political calculus involving Trump is far different for state-level Democrats than